MestreCast, analytical chemistry software in a fast-changing world with Santi Dominguez.
Hi everyone, this is Santi Dominguez and welcome to what I think now is the 5th episode of the MestreCast series, which is a little project we are running in Mestrelab, which I'm really enjoying doing. I hope that you guys are enjoying it too. If you are here, I guess it's either because you attended or you listened to other of the previous episodes and you enjoyed them, or because this is your first episode. So if it is the first one, welcome. If it is not the first one, then I'm glad you are enjoying them and you're coming back. Thank you for the support. Today I have with me Guy Desmarquets, who maybe he can tell us very quickly a little bit about his history with the company, but Guy runs the commercial organization in Mestrelab and also in SciY, which we're having a little bit of a departure today from what has been the MestreCast to this point, which is basically mainly focused on Mestrelab. Today is still focused on Mestrelab, but looking a little bit at the wider entity within which Mestrelab fits, which is called SciY. Many of you will already know this, but some of you may not. And I thought it was interesting, or Guy and I discussed, and we thought it would be interesting to maybe shed a little bit of light into SciY, how it interacts with Mestrelab and what it is actually aiming to do. So Guy, maybe a minute of introduction from you, just to give the audience a little bit of context for those who don't know you, although I'm sure many will.
Thank you, Santi. Yes, they will rapidly understand with my accent that I'm not Spanish or English, but I'm French. So I'm in that business since, oh my goodness, 40 decades. No, 4 decades. 40 would be too much. And yeah, I've been working for Mestrelab for 5-6 years. After already a long experience in analytical chemistry field, software for analytical chemistry field and enterprise type of software deployments. So I was very happy to see the migration of Mestrelab to SciY, because I believe it's a very interesting move for the market, which I think is a topic of the discussion today. And I'm still giving and sharing my experience with the team at Mestrelab regularly and every day. But I'm also now involved since a year in this new adventure, the SciY adventure, and that's very, very attractive for me.
Okay, well, great. Thank you for that little bit of context, Guy. And I think when we talk about SciY, we define it probably. Obviously we define it and describe it in many ways, but the one sentence that we seem to be most of the time honing on to, and which I think probably best explains what SciY is aiming to be, is every piece of research and manufacturing data matters. Can you maybe elaborate a little bit on what's behind this statement and why this statement would make SciY special in the market? Or maybe in other words, how does SciY plan to differentiate itself from other similar organizations that are operating in the enterprise software space in R&D?
Yeah, thanks, Santi. I think it's very important, this definition. And in fact, to be more precise, I prefer to use a sentence: every piece of analytical research and manufacturing data matters. Because what is key to understand is that SciY is uniquely positioned, placing analytical data at the center of the strategy. And this makes it different from any other company. A lot of companies are dealing with scientific data, but architecturing a company around the capability to capture, to process, to extract knowledge, to make decisions automatically or manually, to report, archive, store, comply with regulatory requirement, make the data fully searchable by analytical parameters, retrieve the data, reuse the data, and at the end, make the data ready to apply AI and machine learning to this data. It's truly unique in the marketplace.
Yes, I guess it's also it very much explains why it fits well with Mestrelab also, right? Because Mestrelab again is a company that has analytical data at its center. So we speak about chemistry software solutions, but very much with an analytical focus.
Exactly, and you know that analytical data. You are well positioned with Mestrelab to understand how analytical data can be very complex to manage, very complex to extract information from, and also complex to retrieve and search. So that's one of the key. It's very important to consider this analytical data in the center of the strategy, and even in the center of the mission. So we have really SciY has chosen a very special approach compared to any other organization in that regard. And we are going to support any customers having issue with large amount of data, knowing that they are all different and all coming from the large variety of different instruments, which is the case for almost, I would say, every life science, material science, food, agro-science, only to name a few. So almost every potential user is dealing with a very large variety of article data. So that was the reason for this is the main direction for SciY, and which we have chosen in SciY company having a strong scientific instrument data DNA, like Zontal, Optimal, Mestrelab. I will probably elaborate a bit more on those companies later on, but I see our role in connecting, in a way, all the physical sensors, to use this terminology for any type of instrument, in a way, in the whole value chain from research to manufacturing and QC. And that, I think, will help by connecting those instruments to the enterprise software, which is existing in the ecosystem of our customers, will help those customers to improve their productivity and their quality.
Okay, thank you, Guy. And basically, placing analytical data at the center of the strategy. That's a very simple statement, which I think is easy to understand, right? But it does imply many things behind it.
Yes.
So it sounds simple on the surface, of course. Like most things in life, simplicity may only be an appearance, and there is a lot more to it. So maybe you could tell us a little bit more about some of these implications of driven by that statement.
Yeah, I think it's there is probably a lot. There is a lot of different application potential, but I think I may isolate 3 or 4 of those which I believe are very representative. Maybe the first one is the capability to offer a vendor agnostic software solution. And SciY is the first broker division to be instrument provider agnostic. And every company part of SciY is vendor agnostic, propose to open any type of vendor agnostic format or to deal with any type of other partners. So, and for that purpose as well, we need to deliver open platforms to our customer, which can be plugged into the customer existing ecosystem. Maybe the third point will be probably, and very important, is the capability to integrate with instrument, with robots, with software-based automation workflow, with informatics system, and of the ecosystem of the customers, informatics system for management, for calculation, for displaying, for mining, reporting, and so on, to name a few. So this is maybe the most important. And as was said before, we need to be able to do that from the basic research in a way up to the supply chain operations. So I can elaborate more, but I think I will summarize with one simple sentence. Maybe we want to support our customers in their laboratory digitalization journey from start to finish with all the necessary tool we maybe or they may want to choose in the SciY offering. And when they have chosen all the tools, and there will be all the tools they have been using and they are using or they will be choosing, integrating our own capabilities in their own existing ecosystem to make it seamlessly working.
So, Guy, when I listen to that explanation, I think, there are a few things that maybe are a little bit of a departure from how Mestrelab traditionally defined itself. and probably a little bit of a departure from what is currently available in the market from other vendors, right? So I hear obviously digitalization, which I think is very important. You did mention some of the uses that digitalization may enable downstream. You mentioned artificial intelligence, etc. Something else which really catches my ear is the fact that you're talking not only about laboratory and basic research, but you're talking all the way through manufacturing and supply chain operations. So it's a much wider scope. And I guess from that perspective, it does speak to the fact that SciY is aiming to do things with a different approach. And because it has a somewhat differently defined aim, I guess it's probably fair to assume that it does have a different approach to the elements that actually build those solutions, right? So, would you say that SciY thinks in a different way about things like, I don't know, data management, security, archiving, data sharing, communication?
Absolutely. In fact, it's related to my initial statement when I had analytical data in the first sentence, because it's exactly linked to this. We have integrated within SciY a life science data platform, which is named Zontal, which can take care of a very, very large variety of data format. So from very, very diverse type of instrument, from very simple to very complex. The platform or the environment can take those formats, abstract the metadata, maybe even more than abstract, I would say enrich the metadata, that's probably a better word, and make this information fully searchable, retrievable, ready to be reused, ready to apply some AI techniques. So it's a very versatile modern solution. It's a digital, I would say, I think we can name it the Zontal Digital Lab in a way, which provide a hub which connect analytical data and people. And in fact, what's interesting in my view as well, it satisfies, I would say, different type of customers, and that's always complicated in this regards, because in general you find a platform which is just matching one type of environment, one type of people. So, but people dealing with analytical technique means the scientists, the expert in analytical chemistry, the IT people who are going to do something else with data or derive some predictive science, for example, the IT people, the management. So all those people have completely different understanding of what data management means and expectation. And I believe the Zontal Digital Lab really can match everyone at once, and that's quite unique in the marketplace. So, yeah, and I think what's probably important as well is that I've mentioned, I would say, the fact that it's important to have an open platform, to have integrability, to be able to connect information. And I think that's also very key. You were mentioning Mestrelab philosophy, matching completely with SciY. Zontal match completely with SciY. And in a way, I would say the two together, to take only those two, operate completely in a fashion, in a way which would be very integrated. So we just released at Mestrelab a tool, a plugin called MNOVA Hub, which is which offers the capability to view inside the tool for processing data. I would say, have a look at what's happening in another environment. So in that case, I take Zontal. So you can see everything which is in Zontal inside MNOVA. And this is only possible because of the fact that the tools were already available, the opening was already there, in such a way that there was all the capability to easily integrate the two platforms. So it took only a few days for our developers. They are very talented, but I think the capabilities was already there to offer this. It took only a few days for them to connect MNOVA Hub to Zontal to offer this very nice experience for the user to stay in MNOVA and still have access to everything which is stored into the MNOVA Hub and take value out of it without having to learn another interface or without having to go outside of MNOVA to retrieve information. And that's very, very unique in my view. And you can imagine that MNOVA Hub can also be open. Again, we want to be agnostic. If someone has an homegrown environment and where he store his data, we could integrate with this homegrown environment to view the data directly in MNOVA. So that's the philosophy, in a way, of the way we want to deal with data, the way we want to manage data.
And, again, for me, something which is very salient, and, obviously, I've been part of the Mestrelab story since the beginning, maybe not of the software MestreC, but of the company, and that openness and ability, integrability by design was always there in the way that we conceptualized what we were aiming to do, right? We saw ourselves as a little bit of a way of customers to take away the restrictions that made them operate within a specific environment to deal with data coming from a specific type of instrument, and to basically open it up so that they could work with any data from any instrument that we were able to support, right? So it seems like this is taking that concept a little bit, not a little, but a lot further beyond, obviously, because we're not just talking about processing data coming out of the laboratory instrument anymore. We're talking about archiving. We're talking about searchability in the future. We're talking about standardization, digitalization, etc. So,
absolutely.
It brings a thought to mind, which is that obviously here we have Mestrelab, which is thinking with this kind of vendor agnostic, this kind of integrability by design. We have Zontal, which seems to be very much conceptualized in the same way, and that makes it very easy for them to connect to each other. And in a way, because SciY is basically building a group by bringing together a series of companies that with the aim to solve as wide a scope of the customer problem or the customer need as possible, I guess the obvious question is it a coincidence that these companies have this capability to integrate and this openness in their concept, or is it fair to say that those criteria have actually been influencing the selection of companies that SciY has done to join its group? And if that's the case, I'm sure they were not the only criteria. So, what other things are driving that selection? How does the SciY family of companies come together? What is SciY looking for when making decisions as to bring companies into the organization?
It's an important question. I fully agree with the statement you just have given. Each and every company have been chosen carefully, in a way, according to their capability to fit with the whole story. You mentioned vendor agnosticism. That's key, and that's very, very important statement in the marketplace. Analytical data, I mentioned this from the very beginning, and probably integrability. It was easier for me to say it, and automation. Capability to integrate with robots and so on. So all this was the contribution of, I would say, the decision-making process that, yes, this is the fit. Of course, additionally, you have to be able to find a company filling the gap we have in our solution offering for digitalization, for automation, data management, connection with different type of device for automated processes and so on. But additionally, you are right to say it's not the only reason. It's very important to be sensitive to the culture of the company. So we foster a culture of openness. I mentioned this a little bit already earlier, and collaboration. So company who really have built their architecture to be open and collaborative, because this is our belief that it's the way science must be done, and we want to work with company sharing this philosophy. So that was a key element. Probably, I would say also another point will be the customer-centrism, the fact that customer needs is at the center of everything we do. So it's the center of everything we do at SciY, which means it's the center of everything we do for each company individually. So that was for sure a key element in the choice. And maybe lastly, it's important to consider that we were also selecting the company considering what synergy company will bring. So SciY will benefit, and each company will benefit in a way from joining the group. And this synergetic approach, synergetic addition was a key element.
And I'm very interested in that final thought, so maybe you could elaborate a little bit more with maybe some examples on the synergies that SciY is aiming to create amongst its member companies, and also maybe speak a little bit to how SciY facilitates collaboration and innovation among them. Because I think this is, obviously these things make sense when 1 + 1 + 1 makes more than 3, right? Which obviously is what synergy is all about. So I think this will be very interesting to the audience. Maybe you can give us a little bit more color.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's key, I would say, to consider, and I like the idea of 1 + 1 + 1 = 5 in a way. So the most obvious synergy is probably in the fact that we were able to avoid with the group devoting effort in developing tools that do the same thing in different ways in a way, or even worse, doing the same thing in even the same way, just with different implementation. And it's very often we have meetings where we realize there is tools which are already in place in the software environment of other colleagues. And in fact, we can avoid developing it because we can just work in collaboration. So this is a waste of resources, and it's absolutely not a good way of ensuring that every customer dollars contributes to getting more and better solution to their problems. So that's probably a first synergy which came immediately to my mind. Maybe the other maybe which I think about is benefiting from a wider multidisciplinary teams with a range of cultures, range of technical skills, which every company can leverage. Our business is very technical, as you know, and the know-how can be a great accelerator for sure. So our joining force give us access to a much wider pool of expertise, of industry contacts, of customers, and for sure that helps product better and implement better product and deliver faster products. So that's probably the second thing which came to my mind. What else? Which areas other synergy can be mentioned? Of course, I can also mention the supporting customers. That's probably a very important as well area where the synergy can be discussed. Join a customer support structure which give the capability to support our customer faster 24/7 in a way, and with more resource, more skills because of diversity. You mentioned manufacturing. We have Optimal, for example, is in manufacturing, when Mestrelab is more in discovery. So it means different people having different skill in different area of the chain, but also in the science, chemistry, biochemistry, biology, with equal quality, providing this to support customers. And related to this, of course, we can think about marketing synergy, which will result in our needing relatively less resource to reach our market and give us the ability to invest more heavily in other area, mainly R&D, of course. So, yeah, it's really interesting. It's the synergy of the different groups and around SciY, overarched by SciY. It's allow us to have a wide understanding of the customer needs with a holistic view which will transcend the commercialization of tools to take the solution and the platform space. So I think it's very, I would probably summarize in thinking that it's this synergy of all what at different points which came to my mind is going to be for the benefit of the customers almost immediately and in the long term.
Yes, and in fact, for me, one point that you made that is very important to me is obviously the ability to deploy as much resource as possible to R&D. because that is what brings higher quality solutions to our customers, which is obviously what our focus is. And, everything else I would say is necessary. So obviously the operations, the deployment, the support, the web pages, all those other functions are necessary to offer the best possible experience. But, if you are able to execute them in a more efficient fashion by combining resources, which very much I agree is what we're able to do here, then that actually frees up resources which can either be maybe put to profit. That would be the non-value adding way of deploying them. It may be value adding for a few people like the shareholders, but the other way is to basically deploy those resources to more R&D, which is very much what our culture is about. And freeing up those resources allows much faster development. And I think we cannot talk too much about specific development plans here, but this is already crystallizing into what I think is a very exciting roadmap of solutions that I would encourage.
It's in motion for sure.
The audience and the market to watch out for. But there is another, synergy. Synergy speaks a little bit to communication and integration between the companies, but at the same time, we are talking about companies here that have, I think, a very good reputation in the market for a certain culture, which I would define as a bit of a startup culture, right? And there are a series of values that we associate with startups. And I think one of the statements that we make is that we aim to maintain this startup approach. So can you maybe discuss a little bit what that means from your perspective?
This is an important aspect for me because I've been, as I said, unfortunately, I'm not so young, so I've seen in the marketplace so many companies being acquired by corporates. So we have plenty of examples. I've seen plenty of those examples of innovative, sometimes very innovative, very agile companies, which were integrated into large corporation. And after acquisition, most of the time, this integration, the integration of the company to the corporate platform or the adjustment of the strategy has taken a lot of time. And during that time, the customer have lost the ability to interact with the company directly the way they used to. And when the company was smaller, were more a startup, was the software solution sometimes was frozen for a few years, and sometimes even more than only a couple. And at the end, a new product, when finally it comes integrated with the platform, the corporate have been acquired the company, it doesn't necessarily match the customer expectations. So by maintaining inside a startup spirit for each company, we are aiming to maintain the agility to satisfy customer needs, which is today the trademark, I would say, of Mestrelab, Optimal, Zontal, and the others. Maintaining the response time, which makes the reputation of the company, while of course offering a full integration within the SciY umbrella. Because that will be important, of course. So we were able to provide this in parallel. And as we said before, we were already doing it. And of course, full integration with third parties. So that will help SciY to grow, being perceived as not usually. So we are not the same as the other because we are analytical data centric. We are not the same as the other because we are a compilation in a way of unique startup in the mindset and startup in the way they develop companies, which in the same time provide overarching platform and provide capabilities which comes from the addition of each startup together. And I think that is today, from my feedback from customers I've been speaking to in different road shows, that's today something customers are very sensitive.
Okay, and yes, I mean, obviously, I see myself first of all as a startupper, so for me that's very important. Also, I know we're very aligned, and it's very exciting. I think also from the customer perspective, to know that they are interacting with a company that still has that agility and that responsiveness at heart, but also obviously the resources of a larger organization that allows to probably deliver more solutions. And with this in mind, maybe can you discuss a couple of specific projects, examples, or initiatives that exemplify this ability to deliver more through collaboration, through bringing the companies together?
So there is a lot of those already ongoing, which of course I can't describe any customer specific, of course, but I can. Let me think about a few I have in mind, which can probably match your expectation in a way, and excitement. I think I share the excitement I have today. I think, it's maybe the first one which came to my mind is what we can call the sample loop, or the closed sample loop in a way. So what it means is that we want to be able to offer, and we already offer this, to support the process of the customer requesting an experiment or series of experiment on a sample, or series of sample, of course, directly from their enterprise environment. It could be an ELN, for example, so that any type in their ecosystem, the enterprise tools where the tool they use on a day-to-day basis. And we can, from that initial software environment, we can automate the process of setting up the experiment in the instrument. It could be an NMR or an LCMS, for example. Automatically run the experiment, collect the data generated, and process it, analyze it in automation to extract all available information from it. And it could be, I don't know, quantification by NMR, or purity calculation by LCMS, confirming a structure by both NMR and LCMS. So plenty of different automation which can be triggered and demanded in a way by the chemist from his or her ecosystem. After that, I would say save this information into a repository where it is going to be fully annotated and with a well-designed ontology, because this is also one of the points where I believe we are very strong, to ensure that it is fair. So don't know if you know what fair means. I always forget one of the letter, but
Findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable.
Thanks.
In any other environment, right?
Thank you, Santi. Yes, exactly. That's fair. So you got the point, and you forgot to action the buzzer for that. But yes, you are right. Absolutely, it's that. So this is key to be able to do that, to save following FAIR, because there is plenty of requests from academic to industry to do that. And finally, of course, having done all this information and collecting the ontology and so on, returning the result still automatically to the original environment. So the scientist is in his ELN, does just request in a way, receive back not the data, but an answer, knowing that in the background, everything has been saved and controlled, and avoiding transcription error, avoiding everything which in a way could be detrimental to the quality. So that's, I think it's a very exciting a solution which we already have, I would say, a large, the capability to do it. And of course, we are improving it every day with customers, because that's also very important. We did not mention before is the continuous improvement of the solution we are providing. And maybe, another one I like as well, which is very, very interesting, is what we could call the ELN decommissioning. Because it's probably more than that, but organization often that have need to move from one data management system, one notebook system, for example, to another one for a lot of different reasons. They change the vendor. It could be because they want to change the vendor because they want a new, a more modern one, or it's a result, for example, of an M&A. And so they often need to bring several disparate systems together. And that's a big challenge, of course, and not trivial to do. And also sometimes the difficulty is that it is restraining the capability and the way to be innovative with a new platform which is chosen, because you are almost constraining this platform to be able to absorb your legacy. So The ability of our tools is to interact with many different environments and move all the information into a common platform to standardize the data and be able to eliminate, I would say, the risk of data silo, to eliminate the risk of losing information and being able to retrieve information. So restricting the need of customers to migrate the data, legacy data, into their new system, but still making all this information available in a generic way, in such a way that it can be also an addition between different ELNs. It's very often that big companies have, let's say, let's use this word, a few ELNs. A few can be a lot. And yeah, having one platform where all legacy ELN are concentrated and harmonized is a very interesting and exciting challenge. So that's only those two which came to my mind. But as I said, we could probably spend a few hours discussing all those projects. There is a lot of exciting projects ongoing at a site level.
So very good examples. Full sample loop was the first one, and ELN decommissioning the second one.
Yes.
And in fact, I think in the second example is probably also very important from a regulatory compliance perspective, right? Because it's critical to have a standardized way of accessing all relevant data to projects from a regulatory viewpoint as well. So, okay, this is obviously there are things ongoing you cannot talk about. There are a couple of projects you have told us about, which I think sound very interesting. Looking to the future, maybe now, probably, and this is probably the final question. What would you say, or what in your view are SciY's long-term aspirations, and how does it plan to continue evolving and expanding its impact in our industry?
Yeah, we're ambitious because we think the market expects this ambition in a way, and we want to automate. I think the word I've always in mind is automating as much as possible, everything which can be automated. And maybe even take this automation to the extreme beyond what currently seems possible. So I cannot even probably think about what we'll be able to do in 10 years with everything which is coming with AI, with voice, with all this. It's just impossible. But think about automating tasks. That's very important because we want to support our customers and deliver results as quickly as possible with the highest quality possible. Which means real-time monitoring of all kinds of processes, deep processing, analysis, information extraction. So in one word, supporting very rapidly decision-making processes. That's one of our key missions, and because that will free up technicians, scientists to spend their time on more valuable, more creative processes, which they often cannot tackle sufficiently today because of a lot of routine tasks. So that's probably very important. And we want also to extend the capability of our end users by using data to provide useful, non-obvious insight, to enhance their capability to create and innovate, because this is key. Scientists today spend too many time on things which are routine or other tasks, and that cannot be as innovative as they would like, and that will be important. It's also optimizing the way the collaboration between human and machines, and using robots more is probably important. So we see a world in which humans can achieve maximum value at any time from anywhere, thanks to the support from the support of system we build around them. It's everything which is around them, and every capability, every robots, every automation, science related to technology can help them becoming more innovative and more creative. So I think this is really what we have in mind, because that will be the way long term, where at the end, when we deal with pharmaceutical industry, for example, the end goal is to get treatment earlier and under the best possible condition, taking in mind, I would say, also all the environmental parameters. So this is, in a way, I think the mission for SciY, in our view, is to use all those technology, compile all those technology together to, in summary, I would say, use the power of chemistry, biochemistry, biology more efficiently to solve and resolve the problem they have to resolve on a day-to-day basis. And at the end, if we speak with pharma industry, if we speak with agro industry, deliver better product or better pharmaceuticals, drugs, or better food in a way, earlier, faster, and best quality possible.
So there you have it. We are aiming to accelerate research and development to increase the productivity of manufacturing whilst by leveraging every possible and even not currently apparently feasible automation capability, freeing up humans to add value in activities which are particularly creative where humans excel. I think that's a very good summary of why SciY. And that's a little bit of a joke or a play on words because SciY is spelled SCI for science and Y, the letter Y. Answering the scientific why is where it comes from, but why SciY? I think that's a very good summary. Thank you very much for your time. It's been a very interesting discussion. It's great to bring Mestrelab into the wider context. And in the context of this MestreCast also, which is mainly being around Mestrelab's aims to automate and to leverage artificial intelligence and to support decision-making and accelerate research. It's great to hear that the fit with the wider strategy is so snug. So I thank you for your time once again. I hope
Thank you too, Santi.
I hope it's been an enjoyable chat for the audience, as it has been for me, very informative. And yes, I look forward to the next episode. You can find all MestreCast episodes at iVoox, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. And you can, of course, follow us in our Mestrelab media channels on LinkedIn, X, Instagram, Facebook, etc. So please follow us, share us, and we look forward to seeing you attending future episodes.